When I grow up, I want to be an NBA basketball player.
When I grow up, I want to be a famous soccer player.
When I grow up, I want to be a professional football player.
When I grow up, I want to be a professional cheerleader.
How many of us grew up wanting these exact same things, yet we find ourselves accepting less than we dreamed of as a child? Trauma, adversity, unfair circumstances, you name it. Totally understandable, yet, is it really? Here at I'm 1% Possible, we explore the unsung heroes, the everyday, unassuming individuals that you may have never heard of, but they all have one thing in common. When life struck them, they struck back. We are back with another edition with my good friend Edwin Garcia. And I just want to give a quick introduction. I think this is a hell of a story. He's one of my favorite people. And I was hoping to interview him when I did the world record attempt, but we had some technological difficulties, and that's okay. So he is first generation, and let's tell everybody where you're from.
I'm from Guatemala.
He's from Guatemala, so I've known Edwin probably 10 years, and he is a full-fledged now legal United States citizen, and that's part of the story that we're going to talk about. But he was raised by a single mother, and not to forget his father, of course, important. But in 1999, he came to the United States and basically grew up alone. He wished he could have gone to school, and he said, fast forward, he dropped out, worked hard. Edwin, how many businesses do you own now?
Well, honestly, Caleb, thank you for the interview. I appreciate the fact you took time out of your busy schedule to put me on your podcast. But I own three of them. It's a landscaping one, a home renovation company, and auto detailing company. I'm not really into the auto detailing anymore, but I still have the license and everything. But I do own two of them officially.
And that's how we met many years ago. And your hard work kept you out of trouble until God or Uncle Sam decided to give you a test. And I think that honestly, and I say this with love and compassion, and knowing I had a similar, different story, but similar experience. God knows how to beat the arrogance out of you. And so, without further ado, Edwin, why don't you tell us what it's like to grow up in Guatemala and then come to the United States? Let's start with that.
You know, it was amazing growing up as a kid. The things that I remember is that we were mom and dad were home. We lived a normal life, and my family was going through hard times, and my dad immigrated to United States. Then my mom decided to follow. I was about five when they left me with my aunties, and basically we became homeless in Guatemala. We had no well, we had family, but the family doesn't really care for you. So, it was always either you go to the river and you eat, or you find yourself working. And I remember I used to polish the legs of the table so I can make money. I was 30 quetzales. That's like equal like 50 cents over here. And I used to buy with that one bread and one Coca-Cola so that I can eat.
And you were how old when this started?
I was about 6, 7.
Oh boy, that's the kid's favorite phrase these days.
Yeah, I was about around 6 years old or 7. And I remember going to like my rich friends' houses so I can eat. because I would pretend to go play with them, but they always had food. So I always go to the house and see how can I eat from them, either the leftovers, but they never give me leftovers. They always treated me like family. It was about 1999 when my mom said, "Son, I'm gonna send you so you can come with us to United States."
And you're
And
how
that was
old at this point?
I was around 9.
Okay.
I
So
was around
how
9
does
years
that
old.
process work? She gets you the money and you make your way to the United States? Uh,
My mom paid a lady to
Okay.
come get me all the way from the house of my auntie's house. And I didn't know nothing. I was a 9-year old that my mom had said, "Son, you will obey this lady, and this lady will bring you to me." And the process I can remember was, um, it was a tall lady that said, "I'm your mom, and you will obey everything I say." And we flew from Guatemala to TJ,
Okay. Tijuana?
and from TJ um we took a bus. No, we took a van so we can cross the border. Now that I know English, the guy that was at the entry was asking for passports,
Okay.
and um I assume they give him mine, and I came into my mom's arms. I think was 2 days later. About 2 days later, I saw my mom in California,
Okay. Now, is that where
and
you ended up spending most of your years growing up before you came to Las Vegas?
no, I came straight. I came to California for like a day, and then my mom and my dad drove me to Vegas, and because this is where they lived in Vegas all their life.
Now, I'm curious. That's a big step. You're 5 years old. Your dad has already been in the United States. Your mom then comes to the United States, and for 4 years, you're basically kind of raising yourself in some capacity, correct?
Yes.
Why? I'm
So
assuming why did they come to the United States? Was it the American dream, the freedom, the opportunity?
it was all about. It was American dream. It was better opportunities, better life for us. Um, they always wanted the best for us, and they wanted something different. We don't have freedom in Guatemala. We don't have the opportunities in Guatemala, and obviously, we didn't want to join or make bad decisions. And meanwhile, we were in Guatemala.
So, from what you can remember, or do you still have family back in Guatemala?
Like fourth generation, yeah, but I really don't anymore.
Okay, so for the uneducated, what if you would have stayed in Guatemala? What would life have been like for you as a teenager into an adult? Obviously, you just said there's not a whole lot of opportunities. From what I heard, kind of alluded to potentially, I would assume gangs, cartels, or maybe you're forced to join the military. I don't know anything about what it's like to be in Guatemala. Explain what that would be like as a young man.
Well, I can only speak as I see for other potential friends and family
Sure.
down there, that no matter how much you can go to college, you can educate yourself, you still end up being either recruited by the cartel or being a member of some type of political, and therefore you always get yourself in type of trouble. So you really don't have choices no matter how much you can get education, because even if you're an educated person, you're still can't find a great job and
Mhm.
really don't have a lot of opportunities.
Interesting. Okay. That's kind of what I figured, but I just wanted to hear it from you because I'm gonna be honest, the uneducated white man says a lot of things these days, and that doesn't mean they're accurate. So
Right.
I'd like to hear it from somebody who understands the culture, the process.
Oh, of course. Of course. It's really tough. It's really tough down there. And like I said, I tried, that was one of the reasons that I thank God for the opportunity he gave me to come to a great land, and always be part of a great opportunities and thrive every day to become better day by day.
That's a beautiful lesson. So 9 years old, come across the border. I'm assuming, let's just call it for what it is. The lady was basically a coyote of the day.
Right.
Okay. You get to your parents, you come to Las Vegas. I'm assuming from age 5 to 9, did you go to school in Guatemala?
No,
So,
no, I didn't.
so you end up here in 1999, don't speak English, and you're about 4 years behind in education, correct?
Exactly.
So what's that like?
That is a whole of crying and trying to explain to your dad that you don't understand nothing and I need help. I remember my first day of school. I still laugh at this because it's just crazy. I was in line to get food at lunch. I was in third grade. And I remember this lady was asking this girl asking me, "Are you in line?" And all I can remember saying was, "Yes, no, yes, no." It was the only thing I knew how to say, yes or no.
Wow. Well, did you end up getting fed?
No, I did not because I didn't know if it was the line for you can buy food or was the line to get food for free.
Okay.
So I starved the whole entire day. I remember coming home to my dad crying. I was like, "Dad, I don't want to go to school. I'm afraid everyone speaks to me in English and I don't know nothing." And he was like, "It's the process, son. You will get it soon." It was hell on earth trying to understand everything.
Wow. I know you'll appreciate this because we've talked about it before. But man, you never realize how blessed and privileged you are in a good way until you hear a perspective of somebody who has grown up in such a different manner. And man, I just give you props. It's
It,
I,
it
I,
was tough. It
I
was
I've
tough.
never heard any of this before. So for me, this is all first time knowledge. Um, and knowing the man you are today and what you have come from, it's to me it's very telling, and really what the podcast is all about. Of we're all going to go through trials, tribulations, trauma, challenges. Are we going to let those define the path, stop the growth, or are we going to embrace it, wake up every day and go, "Hey, this is the opportunity, and I'm going to do the best that I can within that opportunity. Let God be God, let Edwin be Edwin, and we'll go from there."
You know, you point out something really good, and my dad always said, use the bad conditions you're in and turn them into good, and always become better. He always before I get ahead of my story, as soon as I arrived 6 months later, that I got to enjoy my dad, he was deported. My dad was deported, and my mom and I, 2 months later, we became homeless.
Right back to what it was like in Guatemala,
Yes, it was. My
except now
mom
it's
was
more
working.
expensive.
I'm gonna try not to cry because this is something that I hold all my life, and not a lot of people know about it.
Well, it's just you and
And
me here. So,
my dad, my dad got deported, and finally I have a dream family. I have mom, my dad, and I'm like going to school. I can finally wear nice shoes. I can dress properly. And then about 6 months later, my dad gets deported, and my mom says, "Son, we can no longer keep the house. We're gonna have to live in the street. Meanwhile, I can save some money." My mom was working at McDonald's, making $5 an hour.
this is 1999, 2000.
Yeah, around that time.
Okay.
And I remember my mom. It was a week, and my mom was like, "Here, hide behind the trash cans. I'm going to go to work, and I'll see you." And we found a school that she um found for me so I can go to school. She registered me to school, and I remember bringing bringing my leftovers from school so I can eat at home. It was it was tough. It was tough, and I I embraced it every day, and I used to tell myself, "We're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this." And my mom finally finds a friend that rents a room for her, and we were able to pay that room. My mom used to pay, I think it was like 300 a month for that room.
Okay.
And uh I I used to come home excited that I can sleep in the bed. And I remember my mom didn't make a lot of time in McDonald's, so she didn't get paid completely. And that lady from the house kicked my mom off. So it was back in the street. And
Wow.
my mom found a friend from high school in Guatemala and says, "You can come live with me." So I grew up in north side of Las Vegas.
For those who
I grew
don't
up,
know Las Vegas geography, that's probably the roughest area of town back then and still to this day.
yeah,
So,
that was another journey. It was painful because it's the only thing we could afford. It was fighting every day. I finally get out of elementary school, now in middle school. And that is another journey because I'm still learning English. I'm still in the process. I'm getting bullied. I'm not wearing proper clothing to school, no shoes. So it was a lot of bullying, But every day I keep telling myself, better times will come, and one day I will afford a pair of Jordans. One day I will wear something nice. So I went to like 10 different schools. I went to 10 different schools trying to become better. And my mom, every day she worked. I hardly seen my mom at home because she was always working, always working. Um, at an age, I think it was between 11 and 12, I used to go to work with my uncles on landscaping.
okay.
I used to cut the grass. I mowed the grass. I used to water the plants, and they used to pay me like $100, like a week, to put in my pocket so I can take to school. And I used to give it to my mom so she can pay for like the room, for groceries. And I was excited to go to work more than school because and it looked like if I went to work, I was able to help my mom instead of me going to school and just be like a weight for my mom.
Now, do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have three siblings. Well, actually, two siblings, two
Okay.
sisters
And where were they at during this process?
in Guatemala. It was just my mom and I in the United States.
So, are they still living with your aunt?
No, they're here now.
At this time, were they still living with your aunt?
Yes, they were living with my auntie. Oh,
Okay,
they went through hell. I mean, when we were trying to make it.
understood. Now, at this point, your dad has been deported 2, 3 years. Did he link back up with your sisters?
Um, he linked back with my sister. So my my oldest sister is not from my dad, only my youngest.
Okay.
So my mom always tell my dad that, always stay away. And my mom took care of it. It was my mom and my sister and my two sisters and my auntie only like to protect them. My dad didn't really want to be part of it after he got deported.
Yeah. Okay. So talk about adversity, especially as a child. Um,
It was tough, man. It was tough. So about grade, we finally moved to this side of town was Flamingo and Lindale. It's kind of a good area, but it was really bad. I hang around with the wrong people as a kid. I wanted to make myself look cool. I started hanging around with the wrong group of people. I got myself in trouble. I went to boot camp. My mom sent me to boot camp, and I realized that life was not a game.
Now, what do you mean by boot camp?
Juvenile boot camp for educated kids.
Would you mind explaining that again for the
So,
people who haven't walked this path or maybe are on this path and know exactly what you're talking about? I want to make this very clear to the audience members. This is probably not how most of us grew up. So,
like around age 15, I was able to get a job.
okay.
I was making about $500 a week, and for the first time, I'm able to buy a pair of Jordans. I'm super excited. Like I'm like want to go to school now. I got nice shoes. I went to Kennedy Middle School and I was doing great. I finally was focusing. I finally was getting the rhythm of like school, paying attention. And there again, not having a guidance from like a mom or a parent, not having a home, stable home, not having someone that can lead you by example, I kind of made my choices. And
Right.
one of them was I got myself into a stolen vehicle with another friend. I did not know. And he was speeding. He got pulled over. He took off running. He left me with the car. I didn't know nothing. Um, End up in juvenile for possession of a stolen vehicle.
Okay.
And the judge asked me, you want to pay or you want to go to boot camp and pay this off and you can get education out of it. And I told my mom started crying. She goes, I don't want you to go because it's going to hurt you. I said, Mom, I want to go to boot camp. I need something that can show me better opportunities.
Now,
And
before we get ahead of ourselves, I just want to foreshadow and commend you. You now have two sons doing fantastic, and one of them is actually in the Army. So,
yes,
if there is lessons to be learned, well done. If you don't hear that often, you've done a great job. And guys, guess what? The story is not even, we're just in the beginning because it's going to get real wild. So hang on with us while we go through this, please.
I'm trying to be briefly, and I'm trying to like point out.
We are in no rush, Edwin, because I think that the details and the transparency make this real and raw. And that's what my goal is. I don't want any sugarcoating. Talk however you want, about whatever you want, say whatever you want, and then let's go through it.
So, I finally got a job, and so it was age 15 and a half, and I start working roofing. I started
one of his other businesses.
Yeah, I started working on roofing. At the time was KDT, now is PRS, which is really famous now.
Yeah.
I worked hard, and at nighttime, the owner of the roofing company asked me, he says, Edwin, would you like to work nights so you can make extra money? I said, yeah, what I have to do? We went and removed carpet from the Luxor casino.
Okay.
And I remember working double. Like I was hustling. I wanted to do things right. I grew up in the street, and I never liked the streets. I always liked the good life, and I noticed that I had to do better because the street doesn't give you nothing good in return. So I
Let's
always
explain that. I think that's a really important lesson. So
um
if you don't mind diving into that a little bit.
so the streets will give you momentarily happiness.
Immediate
Like
gratification.
huh?
Immediate gratification.
Yes. So everyone in the street loves you when you party, when you have type of drugs, when you have all type of groups, like when you have money, they love you. And the streets will show you that they can offer you the world. And
Right?
it doesn't. I always tell myself I don't want to be part of streets. Thank God I never joined any gang or any type of group. I got offered many times. I got jumped many times. I got in fights many times because I denied to be part of the group. And I always, I see myself, and I always, now that I realize, I always fought to do better. And I think it was about turning 16, my cousin Oliver says, "Hey, Edwin, I'm going to Wyoming. Would you like to come?"
Okay.
And I said, "Yeah, man, let's go." He said, "What is out there?" He says, like, he said, oil rigs, piping, like different than here. And I called my mom and I said, "Mom, will you let me go to Wyoming?" And she goes, "Are you stupid? No, you're just 16 years old. You're a kid. You don't know nothing."
Now, how old is Oliver?
Oliver was 30, 28, about 28. He was an adult. He was my
Okay.
cousin, adult.
Okay.
And I said, "Okay, Mom." And I called my cousin Oliver and I said, "Yeah, let's go." So my mom arrives from night shift. It was like around 10. And she goes, "Where are you?" She goes, "I'm heading to Wyoming." She goes, "Turn around and come back home." I said, "Mom, I'm already have Utah." Like I was passing Salt Lake City.
Oh, you were 10 hours away.
So I finally made it to Wyoming, and my cousin and I are looking for jobs. He gets a job, I don't get a job. So I decided, like, since by then my English has gotten better, it was way better. So now I'm knocking doors, and you see nothing but rednecks, right? Seeing a Latino trying to get a job. And I went and
What
knocked
time frame is this? About 2005, 2006?
about 2005.
Okay.
Yeah, 2004, 2005. And I remember this guy, like big old white guy, said, "What do you know what to do?" And I said, "I can do anything." He says, "I need a yard guy. You want to come do a yard guy?" So I used to be like, I used to clean. I used to do like a bunch of stuff, right? Like handy stuff. And then I used to watch how the company will make bump stops. On the parking lot, you see those concrete stops on the bottom by your tire.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to make those. And I used to watch every day how they did them. So one day, I guess his employees didn't show up, and he was worried how I was gonna do it. He goes, "Edwin, you just a kid. You don't know none of this. You just a young kid." And I said, "I will prove you. I have learned." So I poured concrete onto the little frames they had, and I did the whole entire production by myself. And the second day, I learned how to operate a loader.
Okay.
So he comes out running. He's like, "Edwin, what are you doing? What are you doing in there?" I said, "Sir, I'm done with the concrete. I'm done pouring the concrete. Now I'm moving everything around." He's like, "Edwin, you did this all yourself?" I said, "Sir, I did." So I gained respect. He respect me. He now trusts me. Now I'm getting like better paid. I'm able to buy my first car.
What was the first car?
It was a Ford Thunderbird.
Woo! And as a sneakerhead, I got to ask, what was the first pair of Jordans?
Man.
I know you remember.
Woo! Yeah. I'm trying to hold my tears because I don't want to cry. It was I remember it was a white gray 23s fly at the time.
Mm.
I didn't even want to wear those shoes so I wouldn't get them dirty.
I respect it.
And
Damn.
the company keep growing, and better opportunities start knocking on my door. I went work for BP, which is
British
the
Petroleum.
company that gives gas to Chevron,
Yeah.
AFPMs,
British
and
Petroleum, one of the biggest oil companies in the world.
yeah, and it was tough. The company that hired me was Elkhorn. It was tough because you are Latino and you will be rejected in every corner. You will be
Why was that?
because you're Latino, you're brown, and
It
they
was a white man's
underestimate.
game at the time.
Um,
Was this a white man's game at the time?
it was. It still is, and Wyoming is really tough. But it never bothered me. It never bothered me because I always look to America like it is a great land, and I used to. I listen. I admire how the white people run business. I really do. And I'm not saying this because I'm on TV or in a video or anything, but I always tell myself, if you come to a white man's country, act like it. Because I'm not going to come to your house and put my own rules, you know?
Interesting.
So I camouflaged in there. I used to bug him every day. His name is John Poitain, JP. Every day I used to be like, John, teach me how to operate this. He's like, get out of here, city boy. I was like, every day I used to bug him every day. Until one day he's like, you know what? I'm going to teach you. So he teach me how to operate heavy equipment.
Before we go on, because I want to understand where your head is at this point. We're in Guatemala. You were basically homeless. Right? You come to the U.S. Was it 2, 3, 4 months? Dad gets deported, maybe 6.
About 6 months.
Okay. Now you're back to being homeless. And you were for probably on and off, from what I understand through your story, for about 2 or 3 years, right? So until you're about
Right.
11, 12.
Yep.
Did you ever get jaded or have a negative viewpoint thinking, man, I already did this shit. Like, why am I back in this hole again? Or were you constantly, hey, you know what, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do the best that I can? Or it's probably a mix of both.
It was mixed of both. It was mixed of both. It was tough because that's the phrase that you use right now. Used to be my phrase. Why am I back at this? I used to study myself. I used to try to find myself and ask myself, why am I going through this again? What did I do wrong this time? So it was constantly asking myself, how can I do better? Like, okay, tomorrow, how can I do better? If this was the mistake, how can I improve it next day?
I think that's a very valuable lesson. Because everybody comes up with their form of that, whatever the hole is.
Yeah, it's a really tough time. And I tell my kids this time right now, when my son tells me, Dad, I'm depressed, I'm like, bro, you don't know. I'm like, you don't know what depressed is. It said, so, I don't want to fast forward that fast, but so now I'm getting better opportunities in Wyoming, right? So now I'm stacking.
Right.
I'm
and you're about
stacking
16.
money. Yeah, I'm 16. I turned 17 in Wyoming.
So you're not going to school. You dropped
I'm not
out.
going to school. I dropped out of school in high school. Like, it was my first week of high school.
So freshman year.
Freshman year, I dropped out. I said, I gotta help mom. I had to I had to be a man of the house.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
I had
That's
to be the man of the house.
that's a lot of pressure, and not just for a 16-year-old, but for a 16-year-old who hasn't had an active father.
Yes, it was tough because so the little that I got spent time with my dad, I was able to learn a lot from him. And one of the things he always said, it was just discipline. It was just dedication. It don't matter the circumstances you're in, as long as you focus on consistency and how can you become better every day.
And
Those
that's
words,
if
those
those are
words,
not lost lessons on the American population today.
it's tough, man. It's tough for an immigrant to make it to United States, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. And if you thrive every day to make it, God will open the doors for you to work on them.
I would
So
agree. I would agree. All right,
I
continue.
come to, I
You're in
come to,
Wyoming.
I'm in Wyoming. I learned how to do a lot of things. Now I want to come back to Vegas. It was now, I think was around 2006, 7 around there.
Yeah.
And the
Was
economy,
your cousin working in the oil rigs, or what was he doing?
he was working oil rigs. He was working oil rigs. He was working as a pipe fitter helper.
Okay.
And I decided to come to back to Vegas, and I met the mom of my kids.
All right.
And
And
at this
you're
point,
what, 18?
about 17, 18. When I met her, I was 17. I think it was like 4 months before I turned 18.
However, what I want to point out here, when a 17-year-old today, generally speaking, says, "Dad, I'm a grown-ass man." No.
No.
But through all the things that you had gone through, if you were to have said that and probably thought that, I would tend to agree, at least compared to today's youth.
Yeah, by that time, I already had worked roofing, carpet,
Been working half your life.
yeah, I worked in pipe fitter helping, electrical. Man, it was just a little bit of everything, so much time and so much little time. I was forced to become a man, and I was forced to go into a man's world so fast that I wanted to start a family
At 17.
at 17.
Wow.
And yeah, I had my first born son, Nathan. Praise God for his life. And I was 18. I was 18 when I had him. I was 18. I turned 19 walking out of the hospital because he was born a day before my birthday.
Well, that's not the best gift.
Man, it was amazing. It was amazing because now I know I have to learn how to change diapers, shower a kid at age 19. And I think was in 2008 when the boom dropped.
Right. The housing market collapses, and Las Vegas
everything
was decimated.
I had a savings account. I was doing good, and from a blink of an eye, now I'm back at my mom's with a child, with a wife, and now I don't have no job. I start working in a bakery from making like $2,500 a week. Now I'm making $500 a week.
What's that feel like?
That it feels like you work nothing. It feels like, and you have to make those $500 stretch so much, like man, it just you had to make those $500 stretch.
I cannot imagine that situation in my own mind. I'm assuming, was your wife working?
No, she was not working.
So she's taking
Um,
care of Nathan, and basically, you are back to where you were before you left, except now you have a wife and a child. So there's no more Jordans.
I still, I still wear Jordans, man. I still
No,
decide.
I mean at that time, the money's gone, not the drive, not the desire to take care of your family, but you're not spending money on yourself.
No, no longer. Now I'm not no longer the tension. Now attention is the wife, the kid, and to provide. Um, I work so hard. The owner of the bakery is the name of the bakery. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Is called Bomb Breads. The owner of the bakery name is Carlos Pereira, a great man, amazing man. He opened a door for me that I never thought I was gonna get. I was able to produce a lot of bread for him and show that I had a lot of energy and a lot of care for his product.
Right.
And working in there for almost a year, he sent me to college.
But you haven't even graduated high school.
No, exactly. So he's like, Edwin, I want to send you to college. And my first thing I said was like, I didn't make it through high school. He says, no worry, we'll give you a program where you can learn English and become better. And I want you to study electronic engineers.
Right.
Oh man, that was amazing. Like now I'm going to college. I graduated from my electrical class, but I didn't graduate for my math, my physics class.
Right.
So now I did the course. I come back to the bakery, and right when I was about to make money again, he tells me, "Oh, I didn't know you didn't have papers, so now I can't hire you." So now I have a
Okay.
degree, but I can't put it to use because I don't have papers.
What's
So
going through your head right now in that moment?
I was like, what's going on, God? I thought I had it. Like now I'm questioning myself, like why? You know, now I'm thinking I have a son at home. I can't just be like, okay, no problem, you know? So I did I was working on a bake in the market, it's called Salon Market. I was able to work in there. He hired me. I want you to know something, that all this time I'm still paying taxes. The craziest thing is that no matter what kind of immigrant you are, I'm still paying taxes. So all this time, I'm still part of the system paying taxes, no matter of your legal status. And I
I'm
remember
just curious, how are you filing taxes without a social security?
because the IRS, no matter where you work, you still gotta file, you still get a W-2.
But I'm saying, are you putting in a fake number or your TIN or what
At the
number?
time, before the IN number came in, it was a fake social.
Got it. Okay.
It was a fake social. Then it was still my name. You just get a fake social, but the IRS still gets your cut.
Okay.
After the IN number came in, I swapped all my history to the IN number. So now I'm paying taxes legitimate under my name still. And I get, I'm working nights. I had 3 jobs. I had 3 jobs. I was working on another bakery. I was working at the Salon Market. From there, I used to go wash cars. So I had 3 jobs trying to provide for my kids. I finally was able to get an apartment. Jeffrey, now my wife was pregnant my ex-wife was pregnant with Jeffrey, which is my second child. I had him at 21.
Okay. Wow. All right.
So I had him at 21, and fast forward, I'm working nights, I'm hustling, and I tell the mother of my kids, I said, want you to go to Guatemala and give me a break so I can like stack the money. So she goes for like 6 months.
With
I'm
the
working
boys?
hard.
She bring the boys with her?
Yeah, she took the boys with her.
Okay. And is she
Um,
from Guatemala as well?
yes, she is
Okay.
Spanian and Guatemalan,
Okay.
and I'm able to stack money. Able to. Oh, I forgot to mention, I sold the car because I needed money, and because of the doom when the market crashed, and I was able to save for another car, and I was going up. So around 2012, 2010, around there, I started for my income tax return. I remember I got 3,800,
Huh?
and I was able to get a car wash van. I was able to get a tax number from the IRS to register my business, my state license and business license, and I started auto detailing. Um,
How old were you at this point?
I was about 20, let me see, 20, about 24, 23.
Man,
And
that amount of
I
hustle.
remember I started, I told, I told the mother of my kids at the time, I said, we made it. We have a business now. We grind. So every day we grind. Every day we used to work hard, save money. Um, and I was able to provide better for my kids. I used to send them to school way better than I was dressed. I was able to provide 3 meals a day. I was able to provide better life for them. Now I'm able to rent a house, to always supply for them, to bring them to a better life, always focus on their education.
What does that
Make sure
feel like?
it's a dream come true. And this is why I'm grateful of this land that is so, it gives you opportunities and you have to take them and you have to embrace it and you have to always welcome. And I always say thank you because no matter how hard it was, always able to make it.
Man.
And
See,
that's
what's
how I met
amazing is
you.
I've never heard any of this. So one, thank you. I don't know how often if you shared this level of detail before, but
Um,
I mean, I know we're going to get into, I'm sure, in more detail parts of the rest of the story. But I would imagine 23, 24, how much longer until you and I meet? 2, 3, 4 years, maybe?
so that's where I was going. So I started a detailing business and I met Joshua.
My ex-brother-in-law.
Yeah, and I met Joshua and he introduced me to his mom. He introduces to me a lot of people as a great auto detailer. And I remember still washing your ex-mother-in-law's car and I see you walk out with your military uniform at the time. And I remember I was like, man, he's so lucky to be in the military. He says and I used to admire how people went to the military because when I was going through when I entered high school, one of the recruiters from the Air Force wanted to recruit me.
Right?
And I remember getting like high points on
The ASVAB,
yeah, I don't know if it was ASVAB at the time. I don't want to lie.
the aptitude
And
test, whatever that is.
yeah, so I took it and he says, I need your legal papers so I can register you. And I didn't make it because I didn't have no type of legal paper.
Mm.
So that dream of the Air Force was vanished in a blink of an eye. And I saved that letter I still have the letter says you are being recruited by the Air Force. You have been drafted. We like you, you know, like all that. And I saved that letter. And I used to brag about it with my kids. And my kid was like, Dad, you gotta be smart to join the Air Force. You're not gonna make it. I said, one day I'm gonna find the letter and I'm gonna show it to you. And I found it. And I was like, see, I told you. And my biggest dream was to join the military
Why is that?
because I wanted to serve this country. I wanted.
Man, Edwin, I just want to honor you.
It's hard because I always wanted to go. I always wanted it. Like it was like my biggest dream to go serve. It was. I picture myself with the uniform, and that's why it's so honoring and so cheerful to see Nathan get off an airplane with that uniform. It makes me proud. It makes me honored. It makes me humble to see someone with a uniform that can sacrifice a life for us. You know, that's why my company offers a discount for veterans for that particular reason. Um, and
Here's
you know,
why. Here's what I want to honor you with, Edwin. And I'm in no way. I try to remain pretty politically neutral. But here's what I see generally in the world of social media today. We've got immigrants, legal or otherwise, and they don't come or they don't talk about, hey, I'm here for opportunities. I want to work. I want to learn. I want to grow. They have their hand out and they want to be taken care of. And I'm not an immigrant. I can't speak from that point of view. But what I can say is thank you for, I don't know. I had a few soldiers. My last job was basic training commander. And we had some soldiers that were immigrants. And some of them were earning their citizenship through the military. And the perspective of, man, you were homeless half your life.
yeah,
Yet I have not at one point heard you say anything negative about, man, America didn't take care of me. And you wanted to go sign your name on the dotted line to take care of it.
I'm grateful, Caleb. Like I can't. There's no space, and you already know the other half of my story, but I'm gonna say it real quick. It was painful when I went through what I went through, but I still will fight and stand for this country because this country gave me the opportunities that I have now. Like I can't stand right here and be like, "Oh, you guys." There's no way I can talk bad because at the end of the day, no one would like to go in their home and trying to set their own rules. I can't go in nobody's home and tell how to run their home because that's their home. I have to abide by the rules. I have to abide by the book. I have to abide by respect for, you know?
On that, I would agree. And again, I just say thank you for being an example. You're going to be an example to a lot of people. But I also found myself, and you're about to get into this part, but through this process of where I'm at in life, growing up in the church, we'd have missionaries come in from whatever country they were from. And I never felt called to go do any of those things. And it wasn't until literally 6 months ago, I was like, God, what am I doing? And God said, Caleb, your mission field is right where you're at. And you're going to get into that on how God really affected you through the rest of the story. But man, I would imagine you would say that your mission field is your people group, people with shared stories, people who understand this level of struggle, yet you never turned negative. You never gave the middle finger to the Lord, and you were like, you know what? We got W's and L's, but it's up to me whether that's a win and a loss or a win and a lesson.
Yeah. You know, when I started a detailing business, I took the van. I took the van to church and I told the pastor, I want you to pray for it. And I remember there was a preacher from another country came to me and said, you're going to serve the Lord. You're going to be a preacher. And I looked at him and I said, you're wrong. I don't even know how to read the Bible. I said, you're wrong. And I grew up Christian. I grew up and my mom always telling me, read Psalms 91. My mom will always say that. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So I get into the business. We start working hard and we kept going to church. And the guy, every time he came to that church, he used to tell me the same thing. So one day I'm like, yeah, it's not going to work. So until I destroy my family fast, I'm working auto detailing. I was studying for get like a contractor license and didn't work out because of what's coming.
Before you go into this, I had come back. At the time, I think I was living in El Paso, Texas. We would drive 10, 11 hours back.
Yeah, I remember.
We called Josh. Hey, we need the car handled. Is Edwin around? And jokingly, he said, I think Edwin got deported. Well, come to find out, that's where we're going with this story.
Yeah,
so please.
That is the hardest thing. So now I have two boys. I have a whole house on my demand. My ex-wife and I used to work together in auto detailing, make it to work. And I remember drugs got involved, money got involved. Get to find out the devil was already working in my house. And I find out I was being played. I made some wrong decisions. I wasn't addicted to any drugs, thank God, or alcohol, but I did try alcohol. I did try drugs. And that was one of the things. I didn't know how to handle the bad news of what my ex-partner was doing. So I decided to get into drugs, get into alcohol, and not pay attention to my business, not pay attention to my house, and try to look for love somewhere else. And it didn't work out. And one day I come home and get to find out things had gotten worse. So get to that point, I call the cops. And I said, I just literally found my ex-wife cheating, and I wanted this to be the right way. They come, she tries to beat me out with a bat. And I grabbed her cell phone and I broke it, and I took her purse. And when the cops get there, they just put me on handcuffs. Mm. So she flipped the story. And now was on me. So I get to Clark County Detention Center, and the detective tells me, you're going through a bad time. I was like, I didn't do nothing. What are you talking about? And he goes, that's not what your wife said. That's so right. my attorney that she hired to defend me tells me they want to give you 50 years in prison.
50.
Yeah, 50. I'm like, why? I only broke her cell phone with a hammer. And she goes, that's not what she's saying. So it was more like the legal term to say was she exaggerated. because she was scared that I'll come back and fight the kids and take the kids from her.
Okay,
So
so before we go, two questions I want to ask. I think these are important. Whatever the situation was, rocky home life, the devil's got his hands playing some games. One, what were you looking for when you turned to alcohol, drugs, etc.?
I was looking to forget the situation and to ignore there was a problem to be fixed.
Right. Now, I think this is important because I have found society, that is the main coping mechanism. And I always call that we're trying to change our perception of reality. We're not changing the problem. We're not changing reality in itself. As you said, I'm trying to forget this. I'm trying to act like it's not there. I'm trying to change how I see it or forget that I see it altogether. And as we come to find out, obviously, did that work? Maybe for a short time.
Maybe for a short time.
But then it made the problem potentially worse.
It made it worse.
I think that's an important lesson because if we don't ever fix the root or address the situation, you can change your perception all you want, but nothing changes.
Right. Yeah, it's tough because we always grew up saying, "Oh, you're young, live your life." You know, and I think for the first time, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do that. I was still in my 20s. I said, I'm gonna go ahead and do what I want to do, and I made some wrong decisions. And I look back now and I'm like, man, it was done for me what I did.
I appreciate that you are owning it and not making excuses for the behavior.
Excuses. No excuses. I made wrong choices. I made wrong mistakes. You have to learn how to accept things. You can't hide from it. You can't run from it. You got to learn how to take it, fix it, and grow from it.
I agree. So back to you're in the Clark County Detention Center. The judge or the attorney saying, "Hey, you're facing 50 years." What's going through your head at this point? Oh, by the way, still not a legal U.S. citizen.
Yeah, no, I was not in there because all my life I was able to do things properly. All my life I was able to work normal, all that, and I thought I didn't need it, legal documentation. I thought I didn't do it because I was already part of the system.
You're paying taxes. You're doing your thing.
But the only problem is that you don't get to enjoy the benefits, but you still have to pay out to be in this world. We don't enjoy the benefits that any American citizen enjoys. We don't get to go through that, but we have to participate in everything they do. But we just don't, we don't get those privileges. So now the mother of my kids know what she had done was bad. But now I'm already in the hole. Now my life is being put in my brain as a movie. Like all my life just ran in front of me. And I remember telling the attorney, I'm like, but I didn't do nothing. What's going on? I don't understand. So he reads like everything she said. And I'm like, there's no way possible she can say this. So now I know this because, it was peer pressure from the detectives what to say. And one of the things that I'm learn now is that sometimes peer pressure or being scared gets you to say things you don't want to say. So now we go to court and the mother of my kids is like, I'm not showing up. I don't have nothing against him. But like always, Clark County wants to not let you go like anything. So the attorney is like, I didn't know nothing about the law. So he tells me, just sign over here and you get a plea deal and you get off tomorrow. Oh, that's it? Perfect. Got it. So now I got myself into a bigger hole by signing those papers.
Okay.
Uh,
What did you really sign?
I signed a sentence of 10 years of probation
Okay.
and a bunch of classes that I didn't have to be in. That psychological, I passed all the tests. I was not in. I don't know why I was in there, but they learned through the process that I was not supposed to be in those classes. It was a bunch of crazy classes, Caleb. It was. I don't even want to like remember those classes. And so it
Probably
was like
anger management, how to,
domestic
correct,
violence, alcoholic.
parenting, et
They
cetera, et
even
cetera.
had me going to sex offender classes, like a bunch of things. It was
Wow. Probably
it
not
was
even related to what you.
no. It was crazy, it was something that it was crazy listening to everybody's story, and I'm like, I always told myself, I don't have to be here. And one of the things that one of the psychiatric guy asked me is like, who you live with? I said, I live with my wife, the person he goes, there's no way. I said, yeah. He goes, you don't belong in this class then. I said, I know I don't. So fast, fast
Oh,
forward. So they gave me out of those classes, like you don't belong there. And I I remember telling them my pro officer, I was like, I don't belong there. So 2 months later, my officer comes says, hey, Edwin, Donald Trump goes into office and he's putting a policy of zero tolerance.
right.
And immigration is calling you.
Okay.
So March 9, 2017, I hugged my kids for the last time. And I said, I'll be right back. Hang tight, I'm coming back.
And how old are your boys at this point?
Nathan was, let me see, 5, 13 minus 3, 11, and like 7. 11 to 9. Jeffrey was like 9. Nathan was 11.
Okay. Wow.
Now my kid,
Arguably the most important years to grow with the man at that point forward.
oh man, it was painful because all my life I had behaved good. All my life I had good morals, and you're about to hear one of
Well,
here a little
by
bit.
the way, don't forget, this happened to you as a child.
Yeah, as a child. Now I'm in the steps that
Fuck
my dad were.
me, bro. I,
Now I'm in the same situation. And I remember when I got to Pahrump Detention Center prison, um, I remember what the guy from church told me.
gonna be a pastor.
You're gonna be a preacher. You're gonna be a preacher. And I'm like, I said, I don't know. So now I have to fight immigration case and then criminal case
And the probation.
and a probation. And my mom is the only person that it's with me and God. Everybody in my family turned away from me.
Mm.
Everybody thought I was some type of criminal. Everybody thought I was some type of person, and everybody turned their back on me.
Well, and I'm also curious, did they also um, distance themselves because maybe they weren't legal either?
No, the majority of my family are legal.
Okay. I'm just
All of,
curious.
almost all of them. Almost all of them. There's like probably like one now left over.
Okay.
And so only my mom and God was with me.
Okay.
Now I started journey from prison.
Back in the hole.
Back in the hole. And now my kids are about to be homeless. Yeah, my kids.
How triggering is this for you? Going, I did everything I could so my kids could never experience what I did, and now we're right back to what it was.
You know, when I got out, Nathan told me, "Dad, can I talk to you?" He was about 13. No, about 13. He said, "Dad, can I go get a burger? Because I haven't tried a burger in a long time." And I said, "What you mean?" He says, "Grandma or mom don't really have any money." And I said, "Where do you used to?" He's like, "Dad, after school I used to go dumpster diving to go find like all type of stuff." Ah man, that just shot at my heart. And so, my mom is using her savings money to help me. And let me tell you, fighting 2 cases for immigration is not easy, because immigration is worse than prison. You don't have rights, you don't have a voice, you don't have nothing. They will try to mentally destroy you physically, emotionally, and financially.
Right.
And so I pray to God. I said, "Lord, if you really wanted me to be your worker, you need to show me." And I remember fasting. The fast that Esther did was 3 nights, 3 days, nothing, no drink, no eating, nothing. And I had this dream when I was fasting that a big, tall person, he was shining. He was shining. His hair was shining. Came to prison and interviewed me and said, I told him all my story. And he said to me, "Don't worry, I will help you." And he put his arm around me.
Right.
I'm thinking, I'm leaving soon. God heard my prayers. That's it. I'm gone. No, it was
Now, would
just
you say that was an angel?
I would say that was an angel. I would say that was an angel. I really got to see God being in the situation I was. It was the only way the whole world was shut down and God would come in.
Give us some examples.
Basically, the whole world is taken away from you, and now you're in a cage where the only one can hear you is God.
What
Now
was it
you're in a
like
situation.
with the fellow inmates, if you will, or the other people that are
Yeah,
around you? What's that like?
it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because now you are forced to be in a situation that you don't deserve to be, because I wasn't a criminal or some type of person to be in there. And well, that's what that's how I always thought that. And but I didn't know God wanted to speak to me or work with me or shape me or make me into a different person. And when I start reading the Bible, I start reading it like I felt like I had been reading it for 40 years. It was like God had took away a bandana away from me so I can read, so I can understand. And things just got worse. No attorney wants to take my case.
Interesting.
Basically, my only exit was deportation.
Even though
Yeah.
you've been in the U.S. now 15 plus years?
Yeah, 15 plus years.
Okay.
So I start listening to everybody's case. I start listening to the options. I tried to apply asylum because my dad was murdered in Guatemala by the cartels. It didn't help. They didn't believe my story. So there was a guy that came in, and he had an attorney named Don Titus, who is a retired judge, now now was immigration attorney. Rest in peace. He passed COVID time, and I was actually his last mission. And he says,
Wow.
Edwin, I can't beat your case. And a week later, he comes back and says, Edwin, I know the judge that sentenced you.
Okay.
So I now working on the criminal, working in immigration, and almost a year into Peron prison, they moved me to Alabama.
Now, while you're in Peru, just for people who don't understand the Las Vegas geography, that's maybe an hour, hour and a half up and
Yes.
over a mountain into the next county. Was your family, did anybody come visit you? Are you allowed to have visitors?
You are allowed to have visitors over the phone. You don't get to see them.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's the funny part that I now realized that I was dressed on a tuxedo, because when I turned myself in, I was wearing a tuxedo. I looked like I was the biggest attorney in the world. I always look good.
So this whole time, are you wearing, do they give you the typical inmate clothes, or
They
what is
did.
that?
They did. They gave you a uniform, but every time they move you, they give you your belongings back.
Okay.
So
So you're
everywhere
moving to Alabama in a tuxedo. That's pretty funny.
But in the process of moving me, this is where God was using me. God was about to humble me down, turn me into a different man, teach me a lot of things, and use me as a disciple for 3 years and a half of what he did with the disciples too. So
You walked the Jesus journey.
it was Jesus' journey. And it's funny because I went in there when I was like 27.
Okay.
I was like 27, and I turned 30. I turned 33 in there. And then I remember my journey. So from Vegas, they flew me. So just letting you know, they don't let you sleep. They constantly move you so you don't have sleep, and it's called mentally breakout.
Okay.
And
Now, this is while you're in Peru, or what do you mean by that?
no, this is where they start transferring you to different facilities.
Okay.
So
So
all
next
this
was
time,
Alabama.
that's where my trip was. But before I get there, we had several stops.
Right.
So all this moment, I made a decision. I said, Lord, I'm gonna serve you either in or out or wherever it is. I'm gonna stay praising you. So I hold into my Bible. And everywhere I went, I carried the Bible. And I never told anybody that God uses me or I was some type of preacher or nothing. I never told anybody that. So when I went, I was on the way, they stopped by Arizona. In Arizona, I opened my Bible and I was reading it, and just a group of people joined me and said, can you preach to us? And I'm like, how can I preach to you? I'm in the same situation you are.
Right.
And he said, can you pray for us? And I said, you know what? I don't care where I'm at. I'm going to pray for them and I'm going to preach for them. So I did. And it was only 2 nights in there. And then they drove me to Louisiana.
Oh, all this is by car, not by airplane.
From here to Arizona was car. From Arizona to Louisiana was an airplane.
Okay.
So we arrived at what's called Louisiana Alejandria. And I land there, and they moved me to a facility named Gina.
Okay.
I didn't go in there and tell anybody who I was. And the first thing they did was like, oh, you want to come to our service? I'm like, yeah. And I remember the guy said, "You want to preach for us?" I'm like, "I don't know how to preach." He says, "Well, you're gonna preach today." So I was like, "Ah, man, it would just, it's hard to preach when you're in a dark moment of your life. It's hard to serve God when your tunnel is in the dark, but you have to use the little light you got in your heart to brighten up someone's life, you know? So now I'm in there preaching to them. 2 days later, they move me. When I was in Pahrump, I bought 3 shirts, 3 white shirts, and I said, I'm going to get out with these 3 shirts.
Huh?
And I had a lot of belongings when they were moving me. So I finally made it to Alabama. Etowah County is the worst county in the United States.
Oh, why is that?
Because Alabama is really strict. There's no rules. I used to get my food stolen, my uniform stolen. It was really corrupted. It was really corrupted. Plus, and remember, immigration don't care who you are. Immigration, if you tell him an officer, "Hey, this is going on," they're like, "Well, you shouldn't came to the United States anyways." That's what they tell you. So I remember, 3 months in there, my attorney says, "Edwin, we are working on your criminal case, but we need more time." Now, at this point, I have received nothing but. Let me hold on. Give me a second. Let me answer this real quick.
Okay,
So,
so your
Etowah
attorney
County,
says, "Hey, you've
we
been
need
three
more.
months. We need more time."
We need more time. This is now 2018 and a half. And now at this point, immigration is nothing but bad news. Nothing but bad news. My kids are struggling. My son are getting bullied in school. My son is in a whole situation. They don't have shoes. They don't have clothing. Um, the wife starts working. She can't get a great job because she has to pay for babysitters. So it's a whole mess in the outside and a whole mess in the inside.
Okay.
And meanwhile, I'm still preaching. I make it. They bring me back to Louisiana, and that's where the big journey starts. I now go to the yard they have, which is Pine Pear, Louisiana, and I want to put this out. Paul said, "I'm incarcerated, but I'm free."
All right.
Now I know what that means.
Explain it for those of us who have not been in that position.
So in the Bible, Paul says, "I'm incarcerated, but I'm free." So I'm about to tell you what that means. So meanwhile, now I'm arriving in a compound where it's corrupted with alcohol, drugs, you name it. You name it. As soon as I get there, I go to the backyard. I arrive and there's a room with 8 of us, and I have only only 2 noodles.
All right.
And I told the 8 guys that were with me, "Listen, I only have 8 noodles. Before commissary gets here, we can eat it." And I remember the second day we were still in that room before we all go to our different categories. And I remember we start praying to God. I said, "Lord, we are hungry. We are hungry. We don't got nothing to eat." The next door guy comes in and like literally 5 minutes after we were done praying, said, "Say, who's hungry?" And we all looked at each other like, and we were like, "Oh, all of us are hungry." So they fed us. They gave us food. They fed us. So I go outside on a daytime, and there's 2 guys out there reading the Bible, and I sit down next to them, and they were like, "We can't find the Bible verses." And I remember the Bible, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you find it here." And he looked at me and says, "Do you know the Bible?" And I said, "No, I don't know the Bible. I know a little bit." He said, "You're gonna preach tonight." And I said, "No, I don't. I'm not nobody, sir. I'm not nobody." It says, you are. You're going to preach tonight. You know Allah. And I'm like, I only met you like 2 minutes ago, you know? So I go back to my cell. I take off my shirt. I'm watching TV. And at about 8 o'clock, the officer, which is Officer Tucson, may God bless the officer, says, there's two guys I want to talk to you. And I said, who? And he said, there's two guys that say you're going to church tonight. And I'm like, oh my God, what I got myself into. I should never read those two verses to those guys. So I'm walking towards a big old hallway. My legs are shaking. I'm scared. I'm depressed. I'm going through hard times. I don't know what to say. And all is running to my brain is, Lord, please help me. Please help me. Please help me. When I get to the hallway, there's 60 prisoners hungry for the word of God. And I looked and I'm like, I don't know what to say. And I don't know what I preached that day, but everybody was rejoiced. God used me. And let me tell you, things got way heavier. Next day, this guy came to me and says, get out of here, you're fake preacher. Everyone looks for God in the hard times. Everyone looks for God in jail. Get out of here. You're stupid. He called me a bunch of names. And I said, look, bro, I didn't find God in prison. I've been Christians all my life, but I will serve God no matter what circumstances I am. I will serve the Lord. And he goes, okay, we'll see that when they deny your case. And he didn't know that my case was being denied.
Huh?
So every day we'll go. Every day we'll go to the preach. So now everyone's calling me the preacher. And I used to tell everybody, don't call me that. So I'm wearing a red uniform. Red uniform has no privileges. That means you can't get out, you can't do anything. But the Lord has blessed me with grace that I was able to work. I was able to work night shift, which is really rare in prison. I was able to work commissary. I was working on a hygiene's area. So I become really friendly with everybody. They trust me. I become ICE trusty, clean their offices, their paperwork and everything. Now, the guy that disrespected me several times wants me now to preach to him. He says, you are different. He says, you carry something. I said, listen, I am nobody. The Lord is with me, and grace to the Lord, not me. So he tells me, tell me about this God you talked about. And I said, look, I'm going to talk to you about Jesus. But if Jesus doesn't work for you, return it because it works for me. That was my biggest phrase. If Jesus don't work for you, return it to me because for me, it works. So we start going through it. And came to find out that this guy runs the whole entire prison. This guy is
from the inside as an inmate.
From the inside as an inmate. Now, this guy is like the worst of the worst. And I did not know.
Okay.
So now this guy goes in through like a whole transformation. Now I have the directors of the prison. Everybody's asking me, what did you do to this guy? He has never changed. And I said, I didn't do nothing. I just spoke about Jesus. He says, no, Mr. Garcia, you have done something. I said, no, I didn't do anything. I swear I didn't do anything. He says, well, whatever you did, you changed this man's life. So now it becomes the second preacher. So now let me tell you.
Isn't it funny? Before we go on, I think this is important. God doesn't call the qualified.
Nope.
He qualifies the called.
100%.
You continue to, no judgment, just like me, just like many people that find themselves in these unique circumstances. God, this isn't me. I don't have the knowledge. You know, if you want to go Moses, I don't have the words to speak. Jonah literally runs away.
Yep.
Gets swallowed by a whale. No, I can't do this. No, you're gonna
Yeah.
do it. No, 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 no. You're not in
Oh,
charge, kid. Hmm.
I tried to run away many times. I tried to deny it. Like I tried, but there was no way for me to do it. I'm telling you, it's really hard because every time I went to court, it was just nothing but bad news, and it was my time to preach later that day. So I still I still laugh and of a joy because I don't know how I did it. It was all praise to God
You
because
didn't. You just were a willing vessel, even though you were unwilling.
at one time it was my birthday and Miss Wood, may God bless her. It was the hygienes in charge. And I said, Miss Wood, today's my birthday. And she goes, what are you eating? I said, oh, nothing. I used to work from prison and I used to send like $5 to my kids. I used to send candy to my kids from prison so they can have something to eat. And um, I remember that night she goes, Mr. Garcia, I can't tell you what to do, but I'm gonna throw this half of this burger in the trash. It's up to you if you want to pick it up. It was my birthday, and she threw the burger she couldn't eat in the trash. I picked it up, and I went to a corner and I ate it. And I said, Lord, thank you. Thank you for this burger. Thank you for this tasty burger. And I cried in a corner, and I cried in a corner, and I went to my cell really joyful, knowing that God remembered me even though I was in dark moments.
Man, you're preaching on here, preacher. Come on.
And I remember going back to my cell all excited and joyful. So we had a service. We had a service. We used to use a stand. We used to flip a trash can upside down and put a blanket over it. So we put our Bible. We used like a podium,
Right.
and we used to put our Bible in there, and we used to preach. We had worship moments. We had like 16 singers, two of us preaching. It was a full church every day, and the whole jail goes through like transformation. So every day I used to pick up one cup of noodle or one ramen noodle from everybody. For those who came in new and didn't have money, nothing to eat, we used to feed them.
Mm.
We used to feed them and we used to welcome them. They're already in a hard time, so I try to make their day better. So, you know, and then
Hungry and feeding those more hungry.
yeah. So one time, Jimmy Gonzalez is his name. He is, how do you call the people that can't talk?
He's mute.
Yeah, he's mute. He can't speak. He can only hear, but he can't speak.
Huh?
So one day I go to the nurse because I had a, how do you call this thing? It was
Like a rash or something.
no, it's like a volcano, like it spits out.
Like a pimple.
Yeah, it's a pimple, but it has another word.
A cyst.
Yeah, sick, but so it becomes way big.
Right.
Now I'm infected. Half of my body's like with little circles of like,
Right. You're super sick.
yeah. So it got really bad. So I go to the nurse and they put me on antibiotic. And I meet this guy named Jimmy. And I asked Miss Joseph, I said, what's wrong with him? He says he's mute, so we can't put him in a regular population. He has to be locked up here all this time.
Now he basically lived in the medical area.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one day the sergeant comes and asks me, it says, hey, Jimmy wants to talk to you. I say, how he wants to talk to me if I don't know how to speak mute? Right. He said he doesn't know you, but he wants to call you. I'm like, so how do you speak to him? But he says he showed him my red shirt. and point out to Miss Joseph that day I was there, and so we are taking you to see if it was you, the guy he was talking about. So he takes me there, and the guy goes, So now I'm like, what I do? You know, I'm having like my whole body's infected, and I'm like, what I have to do? So he explains to me. I don't listen. I don't know how I was able to understand that, man, but he explains to me he doesn't want to be there no more.
In
And
the
then
medical area.
Sergeant tells me we are able to put him a regular place. He can find him a safe place, Mr. Garcia. And I remember talking to him with hand signs and everything I could. And I remember we wrote a letter. He can see, so everything he wrote, he was like, you know. I'm like, so now I'm able to help that mute person come to regular society, be part of it. So now I become his servant. I help him purchase commissary. I help him get his hygienes. I help this guy with everything. And I don't talk mute.
Right.
So he becomes part of us now, and church is going on, and I'm getting deported. So they tried to deport me 4 times.
From Alabama.
From Louisiana.
Sorry, Louisiana.
From Louisiana. They tried to deport me 4 times from Louisiana. The 4th time is what really impacts me. This is where I know God was working behind the scenes and I didn't even know it. It was 4 a.m. They pull you out. They transfer you to the airport. And I called my mom to say goodbye. I said, Mom, the consulate of Guatemala calls me and says, Edwin, we have signed your documents. We have given you a flight. You're good to go to Guatemala. Nothing can stop you.
Oh, you must not know my God. Okay.
Oh, and I said, well, God, this is you. So there were 72 Guatemalans on the lane that I was, and all of them were making fun of me. All of them said, where's your God? I thought you're Christian. I thought you prayed to Jesus. I thought you were doing this, blah, blah, blah. I said, look, I don't care where I go. I'm still going to praise him. So I called my mom to say goodbye. And my mom tells me, I'll see you in Guatemala. I'll buy a pass. You will arrive Wednesday at 1 p.m. I said, okay, Mom. So in the morning of a Wednesday, I call my mom. And I said, Mom, I'll see you in Guatemala. She goes, no, 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 no. It says your attorney called and said that the Court of Appeal has made a mistake. You're not going anywhere. And I'm like, no way, Mom, you're playing. She goes, no, 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 no. They're going to leave you. So now I go back to the facility, and everybody was excited I came back because I brought them light. When I'm in the dark looking for the door to get out. Now, I forgot to mention this, but every time you went to chow, which is to eat, I used to raise my hand to the door, and I used to say, Lord, I'm going to walk through the door free. I'm going to walk through the door. I'm going to win my case in Jesus' name every day. So the inmates used to make fun of me and say, you're going crazy, Pastor. You're going crazy. So I stayed there until
2019-ish, right?
19 some change. And I came my court finally, my criminal court has finally come to an end. The mother of my kids goes and testify that she exaggerated and she don't want to be part of it no more. She's tired of it. So they find out I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty. So now it's time to vacate my record. Steve Wilson, my attorney, in God, his powerful name, Jesus, vacated my record and cleared my record. Now I gotta face immigration.
All right.
So this is March March 7th, I think it was, of 2020.
Okay.
I go into court and
And this is in Louisiana?
no, back to Vegas. They transfer me back to Vegas now. Now I'm here in Vegas.
Okay.
And the judge says, you're a criminal to society. I don't care what the criminal record says. You're nothing. I deny everything from you. So the lady that used to pray for me says, Edwin, they're going to deny your bond, but they're going to give you your green card. At this point, I was tired and sick of God. At this point, I didn't believe nothing. It was 3 years and a couple months that I never seen a miracle of God. I was just overwhelmed. And arriving to Vegas, to Pahrump, I told myself, I'm not bringing down the Bible. I don't want to know nothing about the Bible right now. I told Lord, I would just praise you when I get to Guatemala. At this point, my mind is in Guatemala already. Like, I'm done. 3 years, I fought it, nothing came through. Now, my immigration attorney says we can do 42B. 42B is cancellation of removal and adjustment of status. Basically, what that means is that you have to show 10 years of good morals, 10 years of taxes, 10 years of part of the community.
Well, you already have all that.
And basically, if you prove that, United States gives you a green card. So now
that's not a whole word in itself, to do the right thing, even when you don't think you're supposed to do it.
I tell that attorney, do it. I told that attorney, do you believe in God? She goes, Edwin, I can't respond to that, but I will submit. I said, the Lord is with you and the Lord will get us through this. And she laughed.
Sure, she's heard that before.
And I remember going into court. I mean, my mom went to testify. My pastor went to testify. My sister went to testify. And the mother of my kids went to testify. Everybody went in besides my pastor. And this is me telling you, this is God telling me, I will show you who I am today. Mm. Now, before that dream, before my court date, I had a dream that I was running a marathon and that I crossed the finish line. I seen it. I said finish line, and I got on my knees and I praised God. That was my dream. And I'm like, what does it mean? So April 20 of 2020, I go to court. I have the nicest judge that you can imagine, but to me, she was the meanest. Everyone was afraid to judge Baker because he did have no mercy on nobody. The very last moment, they give my judge doesn't show up, and they give the case to Judge Baker, and they ask me, Mr. Garcia, are you okay with it? And I say, yeah, I'm okay with it. So I had to write an apology letter to the for coming in illegal, even though it wasn't that I made the choice.
Right. You were 9 years old.
I was 9 years old, and I told the district attorney for immigration, I said, just because I'm an immigrant, I made a couple mistakes, I am here. And everyone makes mistakes, and everyone deserves a chance. He didn't like that part. He didn't like the part. He fought. So the judge heard everybody's story and tells me, Mr. Garcia, I will tell you the answer on Friday, which was going to be April 24, 2020.
Yep.
So I call after the court date, and everybody tells me, even the attorney says, Edwin, that is a sign you're getting deported. You lost everything.
Because you didn't have an answer.
Because I didn't have an answer.
Right.
And I said, well, God has the last word. And it was April 24th, 1 p.m., and I run to the phone. we inmates have access to the court data before anybody does. So I called in and it says Judge Baker granted release for 3 years and a half. I didn't know what that meant. I only knew what it meant, auto removal. That means you're in the process of a deportation. For 3 years and a half. It was nothing but bad news in the inside and the outside. It was just worse. And I go to one of the inmates. I say, do you know what this means? He says, do you want your case? I'm like, no, I'm going to go back and call in Spanish. So I dial in Spanish. And the lady said in Spanish, she goes, El juez Baker le ha dado su salida. It means Judge Baker had granted release. So I called everybody. I called my attorney, my mom, everybody. No one believed me. No one. The attorney said, Edwin, in here, I have nothing. Mom, nothing. So I called my friend. I said, hey, can you pick me up? I had a friend that got released before me, and I called him. I said, can you come pick me up? So know that from Pahrump, they drive you in a van to downtown Vegas.
To the detention center.
Yeah, from the detention center. So at 1 p.m., I'm excited, and I didn't get a release. So now the devil tried to speak to me and tells me, oh, you're not gonna get out. It was just a lie. They're gonna appeal your case, blah blah blah. So I'm like, by Monday I should be released. So by Monday, I'm like anxious. I'm anxious. Right. That was a long weekend. So I'm in there and I ask the Lord, what's going on? I said, what's going on? At 1 p.m., one of the officers, Mr. Garcia, roll up. Time to go. I got released. The Lord is telling me to tell you this story before I forget. So back to Louisiana real quick. There's 2 white ladies. They do the commissary. No English. I mean, no Spanish at all. And I remember me preaching outside of the room, like in the courtyard. And I was right in front of the commissary, and I was preaching. The next day, those 2 ladies said, Mr. Garcia, who are you? As we were passing commissary, she asked me, who are you? I said, what are you asking? I said, I'm Edwin Garcia. She goes, no, who are you? We were crying, listening how you preach. I said, but I was preaching in Spanish. She goes, we are Christians. We go to church. We have never felt that. I said, what do you mean? I'm confused. I don't want to say something wrong. She goes, everything you were saying, we didn't understand, but something inside of us, we understood it. We were crying. I said, ma'am, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just the servant of the Lord. And she goes, whatever you do, don't stop serving God. I said, I won't. So that has what the Lord has told me to tell you right now. But fast forward where I was at. Now I'm in the van on the way to Vegas. Now, I want you to remember those 3 shirts I told you? It was the only thing in my belongings. It was the Bible and those 3 white shirts I had. 3 later, I get to use the shirts I bought that I made the prophecy I was going to get out of. 3 years and a half later.
What happened to the tuxedo?
You know what the God said? You don't need the old rugs. I have new ones for you. You don't need it. I don't know where it went. They lost it. And I wasn't going to fight for it.
Before we go on, man, that's powerful. How did you keep the faith? You're getting beat down. I don't know, but I'm just guessing from what I've seen and what I've heard of prison and etc. I mean, were you getting beat up? Was there any physical violence? Are they still trying to jump you into gangs?
You do get offer. I made a choice. I said, no matter how bad it gets, I will always choose to do good. And God always put me in very dangerous places, but that's where he protected me. I was always with the wrong people, but God's grace always kept me safe and always kept me get along with everybody. I had no problem with anybody.
But when you're getting the news over and over, obviously nobody around you, because they're all going through a similar situation, is like, oh yeah, you're going to get out. Even your attorney, hey man, I can't do this. And you're keeping the faith.
I'm keeping the faith. Now,
Why?
let me tell you, it
Why?
was
That's the important piece. Why are you keeping the faith?
because I knew he wouldn't fail me.
Mm.
I knew that the man above would not fail me. And I knew that if I serve him, like Abraham said, God will provide. If I keep my faith, he is responsible for me. If I keep my eyes on him, he will provide for me. And to this day, he keeps providing for me. And I say, Lord, I don't know how I made it so far. You always come through. I pray to him every day and I said, Lord, you will come through today. And to be honest, something inside of me always told me, don't give up. Don't give up. I forgot to mention this part. When I got transferred from Louisiana to Vegas, they threw me in the hole.
Why?
Because for you to realize that, it's just immigration policy. They try to destroy you. I was praying, I was reading the Bible, and I clearly hear this voice saying, why are you praying? He doesn't listen to you. Why are you praying? 3 times. He doesn't listen to you. Why are you praying? And I said, in Jesus' name, I rebuke you. And I keep praying and I keep reading the Bible. And when I went through that, God was always involved, but I didn't see it because I always focus on the pain. I always focus in the darkness instead of the light. And it's really hard to see God in the darkness. And I kept my faith because he doesn't fail anybody. Listen, the Lord Jesus will not fail you. The Lord Jesus does exist. He does work, and he's still watching over us. I witnessed it. I saw it. And when I won my case, they were bringing me back. I kept praying. I said, Lord, please do not let them return me. Do not let them return me. We get to downtown station, and the guy says, what's your alien number? So I give him my alien number, and he says, oh, I can't find you in the system. I can't find you in the system. I'm like, what do you mean? He says, wait a minute. He says, what's your full name? So I give him my full name. And he says, oh, you're a 42B. You're free to go.
Man. Wow. What does that feel like?
Huh?
What does that feel like? From literally being probably treated almost like an animal to now you're coming back into civilization.
It's been 5 years. I still have a little bit of trauma. I get paranoid even if I see a cop. But I have learned to use everything I learned to embrace it, to become better.
What has been the biggest struggle? I mean, you were killing it. You went in, again, you're living the American dream. You have your own business. You have a wife. You have 2 sons. You have a house. The kids are well taken care of. They probably got their own pair of Jordans. You got at least 1 pair of Jordans. You're living well, and it's all stripped away.
In a blink of eye. In a blink of eye. That is one of the hardest things that I ask myself. Why did it happen? And the Lord always says, because I had better plans for you. And maybe if he wouldn't discipline me and show me better way, I wouldn't probably be as mature I am now and wise. One of the things I still remember, the dream I had before I left, it was that I was putting on some work boots and tightening my work boots. What that means is that since I got out, it's been hard to get up on your feet. It's been super hard because now you have to find a home, you have to get a job. It was, come to find out that my neighbor took over my wife, my ex-wife.
Right. Now your ex-wife, but you guys were still married through all of this.
Yeah, we're still married. I come out. The mother of my kids, 2 months later, the retired Marine veteran comes in, takes over my wife, and come to find out they'd be dating for 3 years and a half, and who apparently was my friend at the time. And I said, Lord, I'm not going to fight for that. I did try.
Yes, you did. I remember.
To rebuild my marriage, but that's not what God wanted it. That's not what God wanted it. And God has blessed me tremendously, just like Job. What he has taken away, he has tripled everything.
Well, yeah, you went in with one business and now you got 3.
Everything right now is turning out good. It's not been easy. It's been really hard. But the Lord Jesus has not forgotten about me or forsaken about me. He has been right next to me. He has blessed me. I went from being immigration to going to Dubai, to going to Colombia.
With a U.S. passport and a social security number.
And I tell you what, I have no grudge or regrets of always being in the United States of America. I am honored to say that the land has always blessed me. And even though they treated me like trash, like a dog for 3 years and a half, I'm honored to say thank you for giving me an opportunity and to give me an opportunity to be the father. Let me tell you something. When the judge asked me, Mr. Garcia, how will your kids be affected if I deport you? And I remember telling my story, what I went through when my dad got deported. And I said, I'm here to do better with my kids. And now I wish I can write a letter to that judge and say, thank you for believing in me, for giving me a second chance, and show him that my 18-year-old now serves the Army.
What's stopping you? Why not write the letter?
Because you can't send a letter. They're going to think you're trying to bribe them. They're not allowed.
Let's just say this. Because God has worked in mysterious ways. I find these conversations get to who they need to get to.
I wish I can hug them.
What was his name?
I don't know where the story will end, but Judge Baker, thank you. Thank you for believing in me and allowing me to give my kids a great life.
And this is Judge Baker honored. In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas. Steve Wilson, thank you for helping Don Chidas vacate my record. Thank you for believing that I was innocent. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. Listen, I know I can look up for Steve Wilson because he has an office, and I will pursue to go shake his hand and tell him thank you.
As your friend, I want to thank these individuals because as I was going through my trials and tribulations, not knowing you were as well, when you got out, that's when we reconnected.
Right.
through the same guy who connected us the first time.
Yeah, it was hard. It was really hard. Now I'm just grateful, and I like I said, I wish I can hug them and tell them thank you. And every day I tell my kids, I ask them one question: if you get to fight, who do you fight for, Guatemala or United States? He looked at me and said, for United States. I said, yes, you will, because you were born in the land of the great, and you will defend the land of the great, who gave you and your father a second opportunity to make it. And I'm honored to say it's awesome being an American citizen. It's awesome.
So if that is not counter to what every social media post would have you believe.
No, this is me. I lived it. I lived what happened behind the scenes. I lived it. And I have no regrets. Listen, yes, they do treat you like dog. Yes, they do. But if you fight, if you show you're innocent, if you praise God, if you put God first, your light will come on.
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I could have handled this interview during the race.
It's it's hard. It's hard, my brother Caleb. It's really hard. I I walk into my home and I say, Lord, thank you for allowing me to sit on my couch. Thank you. Thank you because I have a TV. Thank you because I have a car. Thank you because I can eat. I don't take things for granted anymore. I don't. Before I was like, oh, this is just part of a normal life. You get to have all these things. Now it's like, God, this is all your blessings.
I
This
would
is
agree.
all your blessings.
Two things I want to do before we finish. One, please shout out your company's names. So if anybody is interested in doing business with you, you get that exposure that you will well deserve.
To everybody that can listen, N&J Home Custom LLC is here to help you in any home renovations you need. And that is a company name after my two boys. And we are honored to always help those veterans also, because my son and my dream was always to serve. So we're always here to any of your needs. We're here to help you renovate your home.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you doubt this man can do anything, he was working from age 10, 11, learning trades to support his mom. He was in jail with nothing, sending food and money back to his kids. I promise you, where there is a will, there is a way, and Edwin will find it. So I got a shout out from experience. Edwin has done some amazing things for me, for my family members. The second thing, my last question before I ask the question for everybody. What is your biggest takeaway? So you've lived your life. This interview is going to disappear. Nothing that you have written will be there. What would you share, your one takeaway for the next generation, or anybody that you were trying to reach?
Don't be afraid. Focus on God first, and don't be afraid to live your life and to improve every day, and do not live guilty.
You know, that comes to mind. In the Bible, it says 365 times, do not fear. I have to believe that's for the 365 days of the year. My final,
100%.
my final question. If you would recommend anybody to be interviewed on this show, 1, 2, 3 people, who would it be and why?
It'll be Christian.
And who is Christian?
Christian is a fellow inmate that I met in Pahrump when I was locked up. His kid had born with, I don't know how do you call that situation,
lip.
but yeah, all the way to inside. And he is a great kid. He was going through hard times and he said, I just want a surgery for my son. And he lives now in Utah. And I always looked up to him and said, your story is amazing, that your kid needs all that. But here you are in these hard situations too. So I think he probably wanted to share his story. His name is Christian.
Please connect us. I would be honored to tell his story or have him tell his story. And is there
Definitely.
anybody else? Or do you have any parting words?
It'll be Hector. That was the guy that God changed through me in the immigration facility that
The kingpin.
yeah.
Again, if you can contact him and connect us, I'd be happy to do so.
That'd be amazing. I'm gonna let them know. I'm gonna ask them. They're
Yep.
probably shy or scared, but I will try to tell them.
Here's what I would say. And the reason why we're sharing our stories, and it doesn't have to be tomorrow. But the point is, of this whole podcast, it's not about self-promotion. There is enough negative in the world that we all have a shared experience of trials, tribulations, and choices. And instead of listening to the garbage, I would like there to be some real life positivity of active overcoming and how you continue to pick yourself up. And the reason why I'm wearing this cycling kit is because I am actively choosing to overcome adversity right now while I am interviewing whoever my guest is. So that is the purpose of this. I am not here to get famous. I know these stories need to be told. God brings people together at the right time so that information can be shared, because he will reach you where you're at and speak to you in the way that you need to receive.
Amen. Amen to that. And God bless America.
No better way, good sir. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Caleb. May
I look-
God bless you. And I want to say this to you. You have gone through hell, and I'm happy for you that you're
Thank you.
changing people's life day by day, and you are becoming someone amazing day by day. And every time I look at your posts or anything, I admire you a lot. Thank you, Caleb, and thank you for your service.
You're very welcome. I'm going to finish with this. I know we were done, but I just felt called to say this. I have found when someone is going through a lot of trials, maybe you're hearing directly from the devil, or maybe the devil is working through somebody else. The more tribulations you are going through is because the greater influence you are going to have for the kingdom. And so the devil knows if he can take you out, now God just lost a great warrior. And so that's who I have found has gone through the hardest hardships. And once you get through the other side and you have proven faithful, just like Job, God squashed him and said, hey, I offer this guy. Watch, he's still going to be faithful.
Oh, it was on it. I was on it. I was on it. I said, I'm not gonna deny you. As much as I wanted to, I did not deny the Lord.
Well, I honor you for that, Edwin. Thank you for sharing
Thank you, sir.
this level of vulnerability. I'm honored that you would trust me to do that, knowing that this is going to reach people where they need to be reached. I pray that
Amen.
you have a blessed day.
Thank you.